You're listening to the AstroMommy Daily Horoscope, a forecast that hopes to shine a light in the dark, helping us all see where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time subscriber, thanks for being here. I truly appreciate you being in the AstroMommy community. I hope you enjoyed today's horoscope and card reading. If you would like to support the AstroMommy Newsletter, there are several ways to do so. Subscribe on Substack, share it with a friend, schedule a reading, check out my family's Etsy shop, Metaphysical Flamingo, or just leave a tip. Without further ado, here is the Daily Horoscope. Moon conjunct Jupiter and the Tower card, Abundant Change. Daily horoscope for Wednesday and Thursday, June 14th through the 15th, 2023. Good morning, friends. Okay, let's get into the astrology. Today, the moon was with Jupiter in the early morning sky, as the first aspect that she made at 1:40 a.m. Eastern Time was her conjunction to Jupiter in Taurus. I did get up early to try and see the moon and Jupiter together, but it was overcast this morning, so I couldn't see them. What about you? Let me know in the comments. The moon and Jupiter coming together in the fertile sign of Taurus, which is also the exaltation of the moon, means an increase in happiness, especially regarding matters of the heart, home, and family life. You could also experience an increase in wealth, abundance, popularity, and prestige. It's a beautifully positive transit to start the day with, and I think it will set the stage for an amazing Wednesday. After the moon meets up with Jupiter, she forms a sextile to Saturn in Pisces, and this too could feel really positive, like appreciating the boundaries in your life that are keeping things together. Oftentimes when the moon aspects Saturn, it's a bit of a harsh reality check, but with the moon in Taurus, Venus's home sign, and Saturn in Pisces, the sign of Venus's exaltation, this sextile may feel like a welcome embrace from strong, sturdy arms that wrap up our emotions with safety, comfort, and love. This could also represent having positive contact with an older male who is fatherly towards you or has some wisdom and affection for you. At 5:07 a.m. Eastern Time, the moon in Taurus forms a square to Venus in Leo, and this could indicate an event manifesting in our relationships or family life. A square is the nature of Mars, the god of war, aggression, and strife, and therefore this transit may pose a challenge for you. But since the moon is in Venus's home sign of Taurus, there is reception between the two. This is really good, and it means that this square may act a little bit more harmoniously. Venus is the moon's host, and she wants the moon to be happy and cared for. And since Venus is in Leo, she is feeling generous, inspired, and enthusiastic about things right now. There could still be some discordance or a tendency to fixate on the things you are trying to manifest in your life, but the underlying energy from Venus to the moon is supportive and inspiring. Right after this, the moon perfects a semi-square to the sun in Gemini. The sun is still within the semi-square to Venus that perfected on Tuesday, and so the moon is reactivating this tension. The sun and Venus were trying to start something, and there were some delays or blockages. So if you are trying to start a new relationship or partnership, there may be some small holdups or some things that are not lining up perfectly yet. There could be some tension coming from Mars too, as he is co-present with Venus, and she is almost going to catch up to him, but then she changes her mind, slows down, turns retrograde, and falls back under the beams of the sun, who eventually does catch up to her during their conjunction in Leo on August 13th, 2023. What this looks like is that there are relationships, partnerships, or even business deals on the table, and the one that you think is going to happen actually doesn't, and another one, maybe from the past, resurfaces and manifests instead. Or we could also see relationships of all kinds from the past show up during the upcoming Venus retrograde. When the moon forms this semi-square to the sun, she is now 45 degrees away from the new moon, so she has entered into the balsamic phase of her lunar cycle. This is a time when she loses all her light and goes dark, so it's a time of release, letting go of what didn't work over the past month, and making room for the new seeds of intention to be set in the Gemini new moon, which will be happening this Saturday. Speaking of the new moon, I will be posting a new word list on Saturday morning for those of you who like to participate in the monthly lunar poetry ritual. If you're new here and like writing poetry, you can find out all about the lunar poetry ritual here on this post. You can also read previous word lists and previous poems here and here. Most people share their poems with me privately, and I really love that, so hop on over there and check it out. It's a lot of fun. Okay, but back to Wednesday. On Wednesday afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 hours after the moon conjoined Jupiter, she perfects a semi-square to Neptune in Pisces, indicating some sort of spiritual delay. There could be feelings of loss or chaos with this that are confusing and disorienting. It's like when you're going somewhere and then a bunch of fog creeps in and you can't see more than a few feet ahead of you. So what do? You slow down and go forward with greater awareness. And the moon just had her semi-square with the sun, right? So she's reflecting some of that light that she collected onto Neptune, essentially cutting through the fog with the truth that is backed up by facts. So that's what this semi-square between the moon and Neptune is going to do. It's going to heighten your awareness so you pay more attention and you are less likely to get lost in the fog or deception of Neptune because you are awake. It is a time to proceed with caution because you have the wisdom of your past to help guide you. The moon has been in Neptune's fog before, but this time she can navigate it better because of her reception with her host Venus, who is being hosted by the sun in Gemini. At 5:15 p.m. Eastern Time, the moon in Taurus perfects the square to Mars in Leo, and this is probably the most challenging aspect of the day, as the moon and Mars in a square mean disharmony, arguments, and possibly fights. It is possible to use this energy, fueling yourself with a passionate drive to take bold actions instead of letting yourself get grabbed by it and causing tension or struggle. So be aware that this transit could mean some conflict or trouble on Wednesday night, but hopefully it will manifest more as passion and drive that is used to accomplish something rather than arguments. It's great energy to work out, so that's my plan. Just be careful not to overdo it and injure yourself. On Thursday, the moon in Taurus starts her day with a conjunction to Uranus in Taurus at 4:54 a.m. Eastern Time. Every month when the moon and Uranus meet up, something a little wild and unexpected happens. Sometimes it's really memorable and other times it's small and easily overlooked, but either way, you can expect something a little shocking, a little out of the ordinary to occur on Thursday because of this transit. By 12:09 p.m. Eastern Time, Mercury in Gemini perfects a square to Saturn in Pisces, and my first teacher, David Palmer, the Leo King, says that when Mercury and Saturn are in a square, we can expect lots of people to get traffic tickets. So be careful as you are traveling on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, as this transit is within range. The authority figures represented by Saturn will have their radar on, and they will be more than happy to give you a ticket, so just drive responsibly. Besides traffic violations, Mercury and Saturn in a square can bring up serious conversations, tense business dealings, or tedious paperwork you have to do. We could hear some depressing news in the media, and people could act more limited in their thinking. Then in the evening, before the moon ingresses into the sign of Gemini, she makes two positive aspects. The first is a sextile to Neptune in Pisces at 5:18 p.m., and the second is a trine to Pluto in Capricorn at 9:36 p.m. Eastern Time. So this represents a deeply transformative and possibly spiritual evening or some sort of experience that leaves you feeling euphoric. You could have an intensely creative evening where the energy is just flowing out of you. This would be an amazing time to write that poem, just saying. But seriously, Thursday night could be really intense as it's like you are able to tap into some sort of deep cosmic reservoir, and it could result in some amazing creative or imaginative expressions. It could also just be a really intense emotional release that feels very cleansing and healing. And finally, at 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, the moon ingresses into the sign of Gemini, 26 degrees away from the new moon on Saturday. Once in Gemini, the moon is ready to talk, and you may notice yourself or others around you in a more talkative, curious, or capricious mood. Because the moon is in her balsamic phase, this could mean that people want to talk a lot about what they've been doing this last month, what worked, what didn't, the experiences they had, or the people they met. Couple this with the sextile and trine the moon just had to Neptune and Pluto, Thursday night is going to be bustling with conversations and news. The moon in Gemini also likes to collect data, figure out puzzles, and look at things through analytical glasses. It's a very expressive, youthful, and restless moon with a great desire to communicate, and that doesn't always mean pleasant conversations, but rather intelligent, curious, and sometimes argumentative ones. There's a flexibility, changeability, and sort of chaotic nature to Gemini in general that can be very uncomfortable for some. Where others may see a random mess that just looks like craziness, a Gemini person can see patterns and order in the chaos that no one else can see. Let's move on to the card for the day. What is the guidance for today? 16, the Tower. Wow, the Tower card again. We pulled this card not too long ago, and I feel it is pretty appropriate given all the things that are happening in people's lives, from big changes in relationships, careers, and family structures to deaths and births and the like. So there's just massive change happening right now. In this picture, you see a tower with a rock-solid foundation, burning after being struck by lightning. You see the king and queen falling to the ground, and the king has lost his crown. This is a very violent-looking card symbolizing that which you thought was stable, solid, and immovable being destroyed in some way. A foundational element that you depended on is no longer there. It represents receiving a message from the universe that creates a fire within you that burns out what is false, artificial, or hardened. We can no longer stay trapped in the situations that we are in, usually of our own construction. We have to liberate ourselves from the confines of our own narrow thinking, or the universe will free us in a less than pleasant way. This is the card of renovation, restoration, and destructuring of old forms. When the Tower comes up, it's a good time to be gentle with yourself as you go through major changes in your life. It's time to tell the truth and focus on the health and well-being of your body. This is representative of big changes internally that are manifesting externally or vice versa. The Tower card is reminding us that we are going through transformations right now that may be very scary, painful, and or disorienting. And with the moon waning and losing light, we could feel a little despondent. Remember, though, the card that follows the Tower in the major arcana of the tarot is the Star card, which means having renewed hope, faith, and purpose, being more self-confident and self-sufficient because you made it through the Tower moment in your life. Tower moments are great spiritual teachers if we choose to look at them that way. Let me know if this reading resonates with you in the comments. I hope this is helpful. Until Friday, AstroMommy.
Thank you for reading or listening to the Daily Horoscope. Quick links and resources can be found at the bottom of the newsletter. Today's card was pulled from the Universal Waite Tarot deck, available on Amazon. If you seek knowledge and enlightenment, the AstroMommy Newsletter may be right for you. Side effects of reading or listening to the AstroMommy Newsletter are common and include joy, jubilation, delight, happiness, gratitude, love, triumph, feeling in tune with the universe, experiencing deep insights, reflections, and contemplations, a lightened soul, a lighter step, feeling awake when others are asleep, illuminated, enlightened, having spiritual experiences, noticing repeating numbers, animals in nature, or songs on the radio that speak to you, getting vibes, clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsmelliance, feeling like you know secret language, biophilia, crying tears of joy, emotional literacy, feeling lively, stable, exalted, having an auric glow, or feeling like you woke up on the right side of the bed have all been reported. If you purchase anything through the affiliate links that I provide in the newsletters, I will make a very small commission. Thanks for listening.